Welcome back to the program, guys. We need a little audience right here. All that is behind me is a bed and a desk and a green screen. We need to get some green screen action going on, but maybe I could sell some tickets as an Airbnb experience, and one day we can have a live audience. But for now, we at least have some sound effects I can throw in here. Thank you so much. We have a ton of news to cover today, so we're pretty much just going to jump right into it. So we have protests at Delaney Hall in New Jersey over treatment of ICE detainees. Reportedly, ICE detainees have been served moldy meals, with some detainees saying that there's worms in their food and they aren't getting access to medical treatment. And other horrific things are happening in these ICE facilities. And this has been going on for quite some time, right? ICE facilities across the United States, when some congressmen or senators try to visit, they're often shooed away by ICE, right? Prevented from seeing what's actually going on in these hellholes, in these concentration camps that the Trump administration has set up. Why is it? I was thinking about this earlier. Why is it that America has some of the worst prisons, institutions, right? Just disgusting. They violate human rights. Why is that the default in the United States? And even if someone did something that is against our laws, does that mean that they should be treated in such a horrible manner? I thought that we were supposed to be, supposedly, what the right tells us is we're the greatest nation on earth. Why would the greatest nation on earth have so little empathy for human beings to treat people in this manner? No compassion, no empathy. Absolutely disgusting. But this has been going on for a long time, right? We have a horrible history in this country of mistreating migrants and the undocumented. So people are protesting. People are protesting. And wouldn't you protest? I know I would if they had my mother or sister or anyone close to me locked up in one of these facilities and I heard that there was worms in the food that they're being served. Imagine that. And if you can't imagine that, imagine yourself being locked up in one of these hellholes, being served moldy food, being denied basic medical care, basic human rights. And I'm sure that this violates many, many laws, but no surprise under the Trump admin. So we're here in the trash fire shithole known as Twitter. I know Elon wants us to call it X. Never will call it X. We're on Twitter. And we have this right-wing puppet account here saying ICE did such a great job. But as you're going to see, ICE just pretty much bullied a bunch of peaceful protesters around. And it's really a disgusting video. This is not winning. Definitely not winning. And just to give you some context, it looks like the protesters were putting up some barriers to prevent entry and exit, just to kind of disrupt the flow of things at this facility. So, to me, it's kind of a mild protest, definitely non-violent. They're just moving these little plastic barriers around. And these ICE Gestapo agents are acting like these are domestic terrorists or something. It's completely insane. But abuses of power are just the norm now. See, is this a bit of an overreaction? They're a little too happy to get active. And another thing is, I see a lot of ICE agents wearing vests that say police. Is that not illegal? You can go. We beat them back. We got this plastic barricade out of the way. He could have easily just driven through that plastic barricade that would not have damaged the vehicle whatsoever. Big tough Iceman. Okay, so hands are up. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't understand. What did the woman do there? I don't understand why she needed to get assaulted. I don't understand what either of them did, but okay, the man had his hands on a vehicle. I'm assuming that's an ICE vehicle. The woman wasn't doing anything. Either way, it's peaceful. You know, and these ICE agents are just overreacting. This is just insane. This guy is so pathetic. Just manhandling, you know. I mean, just assaulting this woman who is just filming. That's all she's doing is filming.
Fuck you!
So we've got hunger strikes happening in the concentration camps that the Trump administration has built. It's an absolutely it's just a disgusting situation. Newark, New Jersey. Protesters clashed with ICE agents outside a controversial migrant detention center in New Jersey where a hunger strike is underway. Demonstrators say agents used pepper spray and batons during the scuffle at Delaney Hall in Newark around 1 a.m. Monday. Gabriela Soto, a 28-year-old mother of two from Kearney, whose husband, Martin Soto, has been detained at Delaney Hall since February, organized the New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill, I'm going to call him Mickey. I'm going to say Mickey Sherrill. That's what it looks like to me. Visited Delaney Hall and spoke outside later Monday morning. We've been working with ICE to get into the facility. I was just denied that this morning. I was hoping and trying. Well, we certainly will. And that's what I've committed to doing, is continuing to try to do that. The governor cannot get in? We've been working with ICE to get into the facility. I was denied. They're not letting the governor in. The governor, you'd think that, well, I get it's a federal facility, I guess. Maybe that's why they're not letting the governor in, but it's just very strange. They're not letting the governor of the state into the facility. So it just makes you wonder what's going on in there. It was contentious as family members want the governor to do more, right? Many relatives were scheduled to see their loved ones Monday, and they too were denied, told visitation had been canceled. Some of the detainees are protesting inside by going on hunger strikes over what they say are poor conditions. The people inside Delaney Hall are fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, and members of our community. In New Jersey, we believe in the rule of law and that everyone deserves to be treated with basic dignity. We have a duty to safeguard the rights, health, and well-being of everyone within our borders, Governor Sherrill said later, in part in a statement. And I can't agree with the governor there, but it seems like platitudes, empty platitudes, because the governor's not really doing much. Maybe he can throw his weight around more. I thought governors were pretty powerful, but yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem like the governor is pushing very hard. People are a bit frustrated with that, understandably so. Yeah. These are not the people that Donald Trump keeps saying that they were trying to lock up. You know, there is a woman that was pregnant that says she's not getting full OBGYN care. There's a woman that had a miscarriage that said that she did not get the care that she needed and was left to be able to manage that on her own, Senator Andy Kim said. I just want to stop here and ask a question to anyone that voted for Trump and calls himself Christian. What would Jesus do in this situation? Just the basic question here is, what do you think Jesus would do? A pregnant woman brought before him needing care. Do you think that he would deny that care? Do you really believe that? So and that's what I've been thinking about recently, right? Is, Donald Trump and the entire administration all the way down is completely corrupt and evil to the core. There's just a ton of cognitive dissonance in the community that still supports Trump, and especially those that claim to be Christian but support Trump and his administration, no matter what they do, to the extent that they're torturing people. People are having miscarriages, awful things are happening because they're just not getting basic medical care. Are these Christian values? And another question I have is, what has the Trump administration done for you specifically? Just name one or two things. I would love to see that in the comments below, and we can talk it out because I have the mailbag section. Not scared to talk about these things. Please put in the comments below. Do you believe that these are Christian values that are being followed here? And, or what has the Trump administration done for you? Just for you and your family. Please name a few things. I'm really curious. So Hassan Piker, he's a very, you probably know who Hassan Piker is. Very famous Twitch streamer, YouTuber, leftist commentator, right? Is being now subpoenaed by the Justice Department based on some scrutiny over some trips to Cuba. Trump uses the Justice Department as a tool to his advantage to go after dissidents or people against him, right? People with differing opinions. This guy's a YouTuber. What's going on? It doesn't matter. The guy's a fucking YouTuber. He's a talking head. He's like an e-celebrity. What's happening here? They're acting like this is some Cold War spy shit. So I pulled up this article. Jesus, please ignore the ads. I don't know what's going on here. All right. This article is from redrightupdates.com. Okay. All right. That's the only article I could find right now. I'm sorry, guys. Seems like a extremist site, but let's see what's going on here. Federal officials have served subpoenas to Marxist streamer Hassan Piker and Code Pink co-founder Susan Medea Benjamin as part of a wider investigation into whether U.S. activists broke sanctions. What? Hold on. There's typos here. U.S. activists broke sanctions during trips to Cuba. The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control sent the administrative subpoenas, which are requests for information to gather details about money, travel, communications, and possible contacts with Cuban government personnel. They're acting like Cuba's some threat or something, you know. And it's interesting. What's going on? Why is there all this activity? All of a sudden, everybody's talking about Cuba. I think that something's going to happen soon with Cuba. Pretty sure that the United States is planning on bombing Cuba. So we have that to look forward to. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. But yeah, the interest in Cuba is everybody's talking about Cuba now, like it's the Cold War again or something. You know, it's just crazy. This is obviously they're just trying to bully this individual, right? So what happened, right? The inquiry centers on whether activists financed, coordinated, or delivered goods to Cuba in ways that violated U.S. sanctions. Officials are also looking at possible links to broader foreign influence efforts tied to political violence, extremist movements, or activity the government classifies as terrorism. The Cuba rules are not exactly written in invisible ink. U.S. law restricts financial transactions with the island, limits unlicensed travel related spending, and bars the export of goods or services unless a narrow exception applies, such as journalism. Thought Piker was a journalist, right? Or considers himself to be one. Education, humanitarian work, or other approved activity meant to help the Cuban people. Interesting. Okay. So I don't think that The Department of Justice has a case, but they're going to give Hassan a hard time. This is just another example of the Trump administration just sort of throwing its weight around to pressure individuals to shut up. I also saw a rumor of anyway. You know what? I'm not even going to mention it. We're getting into conspiracy theory. They don't want you to talk about certain things. Let me put it like that. If you talk about certain things, you might get a subpoena. Obviously, this is a horrible current state of affairs, but that's what we've got going on. We have a president who hates journalism and the news. He's the one that started this fake news thing, the fake news meme. We're living in a meme, so enjoy. Let's enjoy it while it lasts, right? Anyway, I'm rambling here. So Hassan Piker's obviously getting pressured here. They don't want you talking about certain things. They don't want you talking about certain things. That's all it is. This is just like the Red Scare, This is just like, ooh, communism and Marxism and other terms that scare people because they don't know what it means. Piker's a YouTuber. Okay, this is a waste of government resources. All right, let's continue with the next story. So we covered this in yesterday's story. The tank in Southern California, Garden Grove, is still getting hosed down. There is a crack now, which is actually good. We want the crack, so there's not, as I mentioned yesterday, a cataclysmic explosion. So firefighters are continuing to race to keep this chemical tank cooled down as much as they possibly can. We don't want this tank exploding. And obviously, as you can see from the video, we have a ton of displaced folks. 40 to 50,000 people have been evacuated due to this insanity taking place. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, this is happening more and more with climate change. We are seeing catastrophic things happen. Now, this happened in Georgia twice. There was a chemical supplier or a chemical warehouse near Stone Mountain caught on fire and exploded one time. They rebuilt it, and then like 2 years ago, it blew up again. So this is terrifying stuff. You don't want to be inhaling this, some mystery compound. You don't want to go hiking up Stone Mountain, be inhaling some mystery compound. These Southern Californians, don't want this either. So this is horrible. Hopefully they can get this under control. But this reminds me of Chernobyl. It even looks like it as well. Obviously Chernobyl was a nuclear reactor versus just a chemical vat, but it's still, just traumatic. We don't want this. We don't want this happening.